How is fault determined in a car accident? After a car accident, one of the biggest questions is who was actually at fault? And the answer matters more than most people realize because fault can directly affect insurance payouts, compensation, and even whether you can recover damages at all. But determining fault isn't always as simple as pointing at the other driver. Insurance companies, police reports, witness statements, traffic laws, vehicle damage, and even cell phone data can all play a role in deciding who is responsible. In this video, we'll break down how fault is investigated after a crash, what evidence matters most, how shared fault works, and how insurance companies try to shift blame to reduce payouts. If you've been injured in an accident and fault is being disputed, Zoll Kranz offers free consultations to help you understand your rights and legal options. How is fault determined? When people ask how is fault determined in a car accident, the answer is usually a combination of legal standards and evidence. The goal is to compare what each driver did against the duties imposed by traffic laws and reasonable care. Fault is commonly determined by reviewing the police report for officer observations, roadway notes, citations, and a preliminary assessment of how the crash occurred. Comparing driver actions to local and state traffic rules, including right-of-way, signal compliance, speed, and safe following distance. Evaluating scene documentation, including photos of vehicle damage, debris, skid marks, traffic signs, and lane markings. Using video footage from dash cams, nearby businesses, or traffic cameras to confirm the timing and sequence of events. Considering eyewitness testimony to clarify the sequence of events when the drivers provide conflicting stories. Assessing environmental factors such as weather, time of day, lighting, and road conditions that may have contributed to the incident. Applying state rules that govern shared fault, including comparative negligence or contributory negligence, which can change how compensation is allocated. The party found primarily negligent is generally responsible for damages, but in comparative systems, an adjuster or jury may assign percentages to each driver. What if the other driver says, "I caused the crash"? Conflicting stories are common, and the outcome often depends on whose version is supported by objective proof. The police report, independent witness accounts, and scene documentation can help show whether the other driver or the at-fault driver violated traffic rules or acted carelessly. A lawyer can also request video, preserve evidence quickly, and challenge an insurer's initial decision if it is not supported by the record. Does the police report decide fault? Not necessarily. Police reports can be very important, especially because they include officer observations, witness information, and citations, but they are not the final word on liability. Insurance companies, lawyers, and juries may all reach different conclusions after reviewing the full evidence. Who can be held liable? Liability in a car accident is not always limited to the other driver. Depending on the facts, the responsible party may include the at-fault driver who violated traffic rules or drove negligently, another driver who contributed to the crash through speeding, unsafe lane changes, or failure to yield, a vehicle owner who allowed an unsafe or unqualified driver to use the vehicle where liability rules allow, an employer if a driver was working at the time of the crash and employment liability applies, a commercial carrier or contractor responsible for a fleet vehicle, depending on the relationship and control, a government entity responsible for roadway design or maintenance issues in limited, fact-specific situations, A third party whose conduct created a roadway hazard that contributed to the collision. Can more than one driver be at fault in a car accident? Yes, more than one driver can share fault, and the percentage assigned can affect how the claim is paid. Ohio, for example, uses comparative negligence principles, which means a driver's recovery may be reduced if they share responsibility for the crash. This differs from strict contributory negligence rules used in some jurisdictions, where any fault can bar recovery entirely, and it also differs from no-fault states, where drivers rely more heavily on their own coverage for minor injuries. Why insurance companies try to shift blame? In many cases, insurance companies look for ways to assign partial fault to the injured driver because reducing your percentage of recovery can reduce how much they have to pay. Even a small shift in fault can have a major impact on compensation, which is why evidence and early investigation matter. Consequences of being at fault. Being responsible for an at-fault accident can lead to financial, insurance, and sometimes criminal consequences. Your car insurance rates may increase, and a car insurance company may choose not to renew your policy depending on the circumstances and your history. If your coverage does not fully cover the harm, you may face out-of-pocket expenses for the remaining damages, which can create financial strain, especially when the crash involves serious injuries and high medical bills. If the conduct involves reckless driving, DUI, or other serious violations, an at-fault finding can also lead to criminal charges. Certain behaviors increase exposure. Texting while driving and driving under the influence can significantly contribute to liability, and they can change how a claim is evaluated by insurers and, if litigation occurs, by a jury. Proving you are not at fault in a car accident. If an insurer wrongly assigns you fault, you are not required to accept that conclusion. Proving you are not responsible often requires building a file that is stronger than the other driver's narrative and addressing the specific reasons the adjuster gave for the decision. Steps that often help include consulting with a lawyer early, because coordinated evidence collection can significantly aid in proving fault after a car crash, gathering visual evidence, including photos and videos from the accident scene that show vehicle positions, damage patterns, skid marks, and traffic control devices. Speaking with eyewitnesses and securing statements while memories are fresh. Obtaining the police report and confirming key facts about road conditions, citations, and witness listings. Requesting available footage from traffic cameras, nearby businesses, or dash cams when the timeline is disputed. Challenging the insurer's conclusion through additional documentation and, if needed, pursuing relief in court when the insurer denies the claim or assigns fault without support. What should you do after a crash? If fault may be disputed, try to take photos and video immediately. Get witness contact information. Seek medical treatment. Avoid admitting fault at the scene. Preserve dash cam footage or texts. Speak with a lawyer before giving detailed statements to insurance companies. Early evidence can make a major difference later. At the end of the day, fault is determined by evidence, not just by whoever tells their story first. The stronger and earlier the evidence collection is, the better positioned you are to protect your claim. Contact Zoll Kranz for a free case evaluation. If you've been injured in a car accident and fault is being disputed, you don't have to figure everything out on your own. Zoll Kranz offers free case evaluations to help you understand your rights, your options, and what evidence may help strengthen your claim. You can call the firm directly or visit ToledoLaw.com to start your free consultation today.